Service.
Good morning, campers. Well, in this RV park, they have a big storage lot up here. Apparently, what happens is that a lot of the snowbirders don't want to drag their trailers back and forth from their home location to here. So what they do is they just store it up here on the hill. Pretty good idea if you don't want to be dragging a trailer or a fifth wheel around. That way you only have to drive your tow vehicle and then it's all set up when you get here. We've been in our motorhome since Halloween, and actually traveling since the first week of January. So one of the other things I wanted to talk about is what's the difference between RV living versus RV camping versus vacation? And and I think that there's a lot to learn here as we just start out. It's really hard to not be in vacation mode. I retired in December and we hit the road in January. And we were moving quite a lot. You know, every couple of days we are moving to a new spot. And that's pretty fast pace. And when you move like that and you're traveling the distances that we're traveling, you're spending a lot of money in gas. Yeah, but you know, you got to get to where you're going, and so it's going to cost you that, you know, no matter what. Um, but it was a really fast pace. And we also found out moving that fast, you don't really have time to settle down. And so it's really being treated more like a vacation. So when you think about living in your RV, it should be no different than living in your house. You know, you're hanging out at the house, you're eating your meals indoors, you're doing things around the house, you know, that kind of thing. But when you're moving as fast as we are, it really felt more like a vacation. You know, you're hurrying up, time is short, you're trying to get to where you're going, you're eating out a lot, spending too much money, drinking too much beer, eating out, so, you know, eating not necessarily healthy food. And it's really not what this lifestyle is about. Now, we do have another motorhome besides the one that we're in now. We call it the Hillbilly. Some friends of ours had an older motorhome. They called it the Hillbilly, so I kind of borrowed that term from them. it's a it's a 2000 gas motorhome, and that's the one we use for camping. So the difference between camping and what we're doing, which is living, is pretty significant. So when you're camping, you know, you may be boondocking out in the woods, you may be with friends, that kind of thing, having campfires, eating s'mores, you know, the typical camping kinds of things that you do. Um, and and when you're living, like I said before, it's just like living in your home. You're not doing those types of things. And and so we kept the Hillbilly in order for us to go camping. When we're at home, we're with family, friends, that kind of thing. We can still take the other motorhome out into the woods, you know, maybe set it up along a nice river. Our current motorhome won't do those types of things. I'm not taking it into the woods. It doesn't have the ground clearance for that, and it's just too darn big. We did name this motorhome as well. We named it Penny. Uh, when we showed it to some friends, they said, wow, that must have cost a pretty penny. And so that name stuck, Pretty Penny. Um, and that's its name. So we have Penny and we have the Hillbilly. When we bought Penny, we had to decide whether or not we were going to sell the Hillbilly. And we toyed with that back and forth on whether we should sell it or not. And in the end, we decided for now, we're just going to keep it. It's not really costing us anything to have other than insurance. I mean, it's paid for. And so this does give us some flexibility and some options on how we choose to, you know, use our vehicles. And I think I like the idea of having a camper and a tour bus. So right now we're in the tour bus. We're touring right now the Southwest, and then in September I'm hoping to tour more of the northern states before we start heading south as the weather gets colder. I like when we're going to be home for the summer months that we have the ability to still use another vehicle. And quite honestly, we treat it like a spare bedroom. If we have the kids coming over or, need to house somebody, we can't really do that in Penny. And so, yeah, we have a spare bedroom. It's a different motorhome. Kind of strange. So I'm out here this morning taking the dog for a walk. And today we are headed off into Phoenix. We're going to go visit my dad for a couple of days, and hopefully we can find something to do there in the Phoenix area. We are scheduled to be leaving here on March 17th, but I think I'm going to have to extend that about a week. I received an email from National Indoor RV Center, and the parts we're waiting for aren't going to be in until March 21st. So they say. They tell me they are never willing to schedule an appointment until the parts are actually in hand. So we'll have to see how that goes. But it didn't make sense to move the coach just to go somewhere else for another week. Just have the expense of moving the coach and the expense of moving into a new park. And so I'm going to see if we could just hang out here for another week. It's starting to get a little later in the season. I know end of February, beginning of March doesn't sound like it's very late into the season, but this is about when the snowbirders start to pack up and start to head back to their spring and summer location. There's another number of people here that are from the northern states. There are people here from Washington State like us. But there's also people that are further north, Alberta, Canada, and even north of that, as well as some of the Midwest states who this year have had a horrible winter. So the winter down here also has not been great. The temperatures down here have been pretty cold, but right about now it's starting to get nice. We're starting to hit mid-70s in the day. I'm hearing that later this week we might even be up into 80 degrees. So I don't know if that's getting too warm for some of these northern people or not, but it sounds pretty good to me. So we'll stay here for another week through towards the end of March before we head on our adventure, which may mean that we have to cut some of the stuff that we had planned out. Just because we need to get home in time to get packed up and ready to head off to Honduras. We are going to spend a month in Honduras in June, and so I'll be sure to video some of that fun. A lot of the time, I'm hoping, will be spent underwater, and so hopefully get some good images of that. But for right now, it looks like we're here for a little bit. There are other activities to do here, things that we haven't done yet, and so I'm looking forward to that and sharing some of that with you. In a lot of these videos you're seeing me walk around as I talk, and that's mainly because I'm out here walking the dog, and every time I take her for a walk I figure it's a good time to check in and talk to you about what we're up to. After we went to my dad's house, we decided that it would be a good day to go catch a spring training game in Peoria. So we went and watched the Mariners play. They won, yay! And so that was a nice outing. And then we also went to a Texas Roadhouse restaurant. It wasn't as good as the place in Vegas. So I think they're independently owned, and so they can have some different offerings. I guess it was just the beer, right? They had crap beer. Didn't have anything good. Now Vegas, which should be more fun, right? Because it's Vegas, so you expect it to be more fun. Oh, and it actually was. The food was still good. And then on the way home, I started talking to Barb about the difference between RV living, RV camping, and RV vacation. And so let's go ahead and listen in on that conversation and get some of her thoughts on what the differences are or the similarities between those things. So when talking about going
full-time RVing or vacationing in an RV or camping in an RV. There's lots of differences in the lifestyle.
Right.
So, what do you think some of those differences are?
Well, if you're going to full-time it, then your RV is your permanent home, obviously. And you live in your RV the way you lived in your stick home. You do the same things you did when you were in your stick home.
So,
you don't dine out every day. You don't go out exploring the world every day necessarily. You do the same thing that you did when you lived at home.
So on vacations, it's more common that you're going to go out to dinner a lot.
Right.
You're going to go see the sights a lot.
Right.
And if you try to do that when you're doing the type of traveling that we're doing, which is we're not full-timing, we're part-timing right now. But if we tried to do that every day,
you go broke.
Then you're going to be spending a lot of money.
And not only that, but you get burnt out. Because if you're constantly on, well, it depends on what you're doing and what your personality is. If you're a go person, then that's fine, because that's what you would do at home. You're always on the move, you're always going, you're always doing that kind of stuff. And we're not necessarily like that because you're not in vacation mode. Vacation mode, that's what you do. Lifestyle mode is different. And that's the reason that in doing what we're doing now, living in our RV full time, I found a way to have my beading, which is something that's important to me. I found a way for my quilting. Sewing in the bathroom. Sounds funny, but it works.
And then camping. Camping, we typically do other things when we're camping. For instance, we're going to eat off paper plates. And we're going to use plastic silverware quite a lot. You're going to cook out your hamburgers and your hot dogs and those kinds of things. And when you're living in your RV, we are not eating off of paper plates every day. We are eating off of our regular plates just because that's what you do at home.
Right.
At home, you don't eat off paper plates typically.
And then I'm making full meals.
And you're making full meals. We're not cooking the hamburgers and hot dogs and eating the s'mores and those kinds of things. We're just eating the regular stuff that we would normally eat.
Right.
We do have to get used to a different kind of cooking in the motorhome than we would in the house. And you've had to get used to that more because of the induction cooktop and the convection oven rather than having a regular oven.
Right.
And just getting used to that. So how's that going for you?
Not going well. The convection oven is difficult. I'm still learning it. The induction top is hard for me because I only have 2 burners. I max out at 400 or 540 degrees between the 2 burners, which means I can't make spaghetti sauce and let it come to its simmer and boil noodles because I have to divide my temperature up to the maximum of I think it's 525, 540, something like that.
Between the 2 burners.
Between the 2 burners.
Because it's an 1,800 watt unit.
Right, for that.
And you can only use 1,800 watts total.
Collectively.
And so, you can't have high on both burners because that would use more than 1,800 watts and flip the breaker.
Right, which I've done. But I can put the little single induction burner on the table, on the dining table.
Because it's plugged into a different circuit.
It's in a different circuit, so I can cook over there, which is kind of a pain in the butt. Or I can put my Instapot over there and let that cook whatever it's cooking and still have my stovetop for something different. Other than that, it's not that different. I'm still able to do a 3 or 4 course meal. We had people over for dinner. I did an Asian-based dinner. I was able to do wonton soup. I did fried rice. We had a salad. I did a peanut sauce chicken, pad thai, and a chocolate cherry cake for dessert. So I was able to do a complete meal as I would do at home, but entertaining a 450 square foot space. Seating was complicated. I had to figure that out. You can't put 4 adults at those small tables comfortably, and you can't have all the food out. You have to do courses, like a restaurant, courses.
But we were able to entertain.
Yes.
And I think in these coaches, they say they, drink 8, feed 4, and sleep 2.
I
That's
agree
probably about right. We'd probably want to not have a dinner party for more than just 4 people in the coach. But
I could
cocktails, we could do a lot more people because we have the 2 couches.
Yeah, I could do 6 because of 2 couches. I could have those small collapsible tables at the couches and then 4 at the table. Arrange perfectly, but yeah, it's complicated. But I'm able to do it. I can store all my pots and pans and my dishes, and I figured out how to wash dishes without wasting too much water.
So when we think about, like I said, vacationing, camping, and RV living, we are retired. And I think my brother-in-law said the problem with being retired is you never get a day off.
That's true. Well, no.
I think, and for me, I think every day is a day off.
Well, I've got my crafty things that I'm able to do, and quilting in the bathroom. It's not as complicated as you think it is. It's easier. You can still get to the toilet. You can still take a shower. You can still brush your teeth, and I can still leave my stuff up and just shut the door so people can't see that I'm sewing in there. I can leave my sewing machine set up. I can use my ironing board to iron. I can do all that kind of stuff. So it's just
I'll add a picture of what that looks like, so
no, I don't
people can see exactly what your sewing room in the bathroom looks like.
Because I have a large bathroom, so I'm able to do that.
Well, and then we also have a half bath for if you need to use the facilities. You still have a half bath that you can use.
So if I have company, they don't see my messy master bath with all my sewing. They see the guest bath, and that's why we have the unit we have.
So then, as a retired person, what's a vacation? If on a vacation from what?
When I get on a plane, I go to tropical.
Okay, so when we go on a plane, we go someplace tropical, that's a vacation. And that's where you're going to be spending more money on food, be spending more money on entertainment.
Right, because I'm going out every day.
Because
most days.
Well, yeah, depending on how you vacation.
Right.
But, yeah, like we vacation, we do go out probably more.
We do, but because we vacation with the family and friends, we're a large group.
And we're vacationing in houses, rather than hotels.
Right, and so we're able to cook half of our meals. We share the cost of cooking, and then we share the duties of cooking and cleanup. But that's a true vacation. It's not your home everyday living.
So even though we're in a motorhome and we're traveling from spot to spot, we're seeing some sights.
Right.
We haven't spent a lot of money on entertainment.
No.
I mean, we did go to the baseball game yesterday.
The Mariners game.
We went to the spring training game. But other than that, we really haven't spent a lot of money on what you'd consider entertainment.
No. Since we've been in Parker, we're staying for a month in Parker visiting my sisters who winter there, we have spent more money dining out than we normally do because I cook. I cook most all our meals. We don't eat out much, but when we're with my sisters and their husbands and friends,
they want to go out and socialize.
So we do go out more here than we have been. And just now visiting your dad, we went out and ate dinner twice, which is not normal. Back to back, we don't do that, but it was fun.
Well, and even when we go out with your sisters, who are also retired, with their husbands, who are also retired, we went to $1.50 taco night.
Yep.
So it wasn't like we were going to an expensive place, or we went to, what was the other place we went to? It was a, I don't know, all you can eat. It wasn't all you can eat, but it was cheap fish and chip night.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think they find where the specials are, and then that's where they go in. Is during whatever those special nights are.
Yeah, because no one's spending big amount. I mean, if you're spending $25 on dinner for 2, that's kind of an expensive night out for what we've been doing. Because we're not going to fine dining and that kind of stuff. And it's things we would have done at home. So it's not like you're going to your local Red Robin or your local pizza joint or things we would have done anyway were we home. But just not as much as we've done this last 2 weeks. We've eaten out more in the last 2 weeks than we probably have in 5 months.
So that's not a vacation still, even though we're going out and we're eating more or socializing more. That's not a vacation.
No. No. Because this is our lifestyle now, and, you know, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. We're dining out, socializing with my family, and then when we move on, we'll still be socializing, but not to the same caliber that we are right now.
So even when we're done with this little bit of travel and we head home, we're still living in the motorhome.
Yes.
We don't have a sticks and bricks house.
I'm homeless.
Yes, we're homeless. So we have to live in the motorhome. So I'm thinking that kind of makes it full timing.
For the next year and a half to 2 years, yes. But after that, no, because I'm leaning towards I want to buy another home. It'll be much smaller. I don't need 5 bedrooms anymore. It'll be much smaller. I have to decide where. But and we'll see how much time we spend at home.
So are we saving any money?
Oh, absolutely.
This? You think we are?
Absolutely.
'Cause I would say probably not saving money.
Absolutely we are. Because we don't have a mortgage.
Well, we have the payment on the motorhome, which is like a mortgage.
Right. But we had that anyway. We had both the mortgage and that. So right now, absolutely we're saving money.
Our space fee, then I guess, is what we would consider a mortgage, because that's what it's costing us to live someplace.
Yeah, but, you know.
But here in Parker, Arizona, it's going to be about $400 for the month. Right. Which is cheaper than what we were spending on our mortgage payment.
Right. Because you remember we have no property taxes. We have no utilities to speak of. Besides now we have to pay an electric bill. Right. So
but that's
all the bills that come with the house, we don't have that. We're not paying water, sewer, and garbage. We're not paying electric. We're not paying gas. We're not paying taxes.
We are paying gas for the motorhome.
Heat.
And propane.
Very minimal, though. It's not like your gas bill at home.
Right.
So, yeah.
And here in warmer weather,
right,
we're only using the propane to heat the water whenever we need a shower. Right. Otherwise, we have an electric burner that'll heat the water just for sink water.
Yeah. And what people are saying is hot to them here, it's 73 out right now, wherever we are. I don't know where we're in between. To me, that is tank top, short sleeves, shorts, and flip-flops. But to some other people, they're still wearing jackets. They're turning their heat on. I don't need heat. And then when they say it's hot, I have found that just opening the windows and turning on the bathroom exhaust fans and the kitchen exhaust fan, it creates a flow of air that keeps me comfortable. So I haven't had to use any air conditioning. Nor do I expect to use much air conditioning. Because during the heat of the day, I doubt we're going to be in the motorhome all that much. We'll be outside. So, yeah, absolutely we're saving money. And even when we are heating, we're heating 450 square feet, not 3,000 square feet. I think the difference is you have to remember when you're in your RV and you're going to be full-time, or even what we're doing now, which is not intentionally long-term, full-term, but we have so much going on in between when we're traveling and getting home for the summer and then hitting the road again. Our time frame is very limited at home, so we've opted not to buy right away. So just do this for 2 years and then buy, potentially. But you just have to...
But I still have to take you on vacation.
Absolutely. You don't get out of that. You have to take me on a plane ride somewhere tropical. But you just remember when this is your lifestyle, if you're on the road, even full-time or 6 months out of the year, when it's your lifestyle, you treat it the same as you do when you're in your stick-framed house. It's whatever you did there, you do here. And that's the lifestyle that you're choosing, whether it be 6 months or 12 months.
And the good thing about this type of lifestyle is that you can always move your house if you don't like your neighbor.
Or if the weather's not what you want.
Or if the weather, if the weather's not what you want. We did get lucky leaving Las Vegas, coming down here, because as soon as we left, they got a lot of snow. And we dodged that for sure. But yeah, if you don't like your neighbor, you just pack up and move on to the next spot,
Or if
wherever that
someone's-
is.
Yeah, or sometimes in some cases that you'll be talking to people and you'll find out that they just left somewhere. You're headed that direction. That was just really a lot of fun or really cool, and it may be only a 45-minute drive from where you are, and you head there, drive you 45 minutes to an hour, and you may stay a week. It may be somewhere that you really want to explore. We've already done that.
So we planned our trip pretty carefully getting this far.
Right.
And we have general ideas of where we want to go beyond here, but none of it's planned.
No.
And I think planning down here was a good thing, just to make sure we had spots to stay. It's a brand new coach for us to drive, and so we knew we were going to be in places that we could pull in. But what do you think about from here forward in planning?
There's things that we want to see and I want to go, but I don't necessarily want to plan campsites. I might want to just research to see what there is around there and just take potluck. This time of year, you're not going to have that much trouble. I don't think. It's in the summer months when you have the families out and doing all that you're going to run into trouble. But we've learned how to boondock. We've learned that we can stay probably self-contained for 10 to 14 days easily. We've done some hacks that worked out. Little ingenuity used to make it work. And we did really well on our water and our electric and our fuel. And so I think I'd like to explore that more too, and not just do your spending, 40, 50, 70 bucks a night in a park somewhere, and just boondock more.
Well, and I think you also said that you talk to people and you learn where they've been
Yes.
and some of the things that they've done. And if you've locked yourselves into reservations and other spots, you may be missing out on some of those opportunities to go find out those cool places and to see those cool things that other people are talking about. And the people that we run into, they're all mean and nasty, right?
Oh God, yeah, I hate them all. No, it's funny. Total strangers sharing recipes, which surprised me. I've got some recipes that someone shared with me from Bolivia, believe it or not. I haven't tried them yet, but I've eaten them at potlucks. I met a lady in Pahrump when we stayed for a week sewing. And I taught her how to make a quilt block that she'd never done before. And I'm in the process of printing the instructions and mailing them to her. And she wants me to keep emailing her about our travels. So you just meet really interesting people. And you may or you may not get lasting friendships out of it, but you certainly get a different perspective. And we learned a lot. I learned there was a quilt shop, an actual quilt shop in Pahrump.
Oh, yay, more quilt shops. Oh, yeah, that was the one that was in the neighborhood.
Right.
It was somebody's house.
In their garage.
In their garage.
It was really a well-equipped quilt shop. I bought fabric there. I'd like to go back and buy more. They had great fabric. So, yeah,
and we've run into nice people from Canada
Lots
who
of
are coming down for the warmer weather.
A lot of Canadians. I've been surprised at how many Canadians we run into.
And, well, it's because it's cold up there.
Absolutely.
Canadians and people from the Midwest.
Yep, Midwest. A lot of South Dakota, North Dakota, Wisconsin.
Yeah. Yep.
So they've had a lot of bad weather.
But everybody I think we've run into is very willing to share the information that they've learned.
Mm-hmm.
We're new at this full-time RVing, but the people we've run into are not. I mean, it really depends on what you call full-time RVing, because some of these people are snowbirders. Right, so they just come down for the season, and then they go back. They still live in their coach when they're at home, and they live in their coach down here. So I guess that's full-timing, even though they're only traveling from one spot to the other spot and back again. They're not like what we're doing, at least for these first few years, and that's doing a lot of touring, where we're touring the country and not necessarily going back to the same spot every year.
Right. What they're doing is they're getting out of the cold. If it's cold in South Dakota, it's got 3 feet of snow, they don't want to be there. So they come here to wherever in Arizona or Nevada or even parts of California. We run into those too. And they stay for the winter season. And then when it starts getting hot here, they head home.
Yes, we haven't made it over to Florida yet. And I think they have a lot of, and even southern Texas too. So
Right.
we haven't hit those spots yet. So we'll find out more the type of snowbirding they do over there when we actually get an opportunity to go that direction. So
Right.
that'll be interesting to see. But everybody's been really friendly, willing to share their information.
Absolutely.
Like to talk about the places they've been, the parks they've been in. Some that they say don't do or go do. Just hints and tips on various things. Some of which I've tried to share, like how do you find the right gas station, even when you've got a rig that's hitting 13 feet tall.
Right. Or long, 45 feet long. Can you get in it? Can you get out of it?
Right.
Do you have to disconnect your tow car, which we've had to do?
Well, we have gotten in trouble pulling into parking lots where we had to disconnect the tow car because we couldn't navigate the tight turns
Right.
within the parking lot. and it's been pretty shaky at times getting in and out of
There's a
some
truck over there.
places.
There's a truck. Don't do it.
No, this guy's right in my butt.
But yeah, I mean, and that, you're going to find that everywhere when you have a coach as large as ours. I mean, we're almost the size of a Greyhound bus, and so it doesn't bend. And if you have a tow car on the back of it, you're running over a curb, or you're hitting a signpost, or run over somebody's foot.
Well, I haven't hit. I did hit a sign.
Yeah.
I haven't run over anybody's foot,
No.
but I did hit a sign that was in a construction site where the sign was too close to the road. The temporary sign was too close to the road. And so far with the 45 footer, I don't feel like we've been restricted on the areas we can go to.
Not so far.
Not
we
yet.
know when we go to the national parks we're going to be. So if we go to Yellowstone, if we go to the Grand Canyon, we already know that because we were pushing the limit in our 35-foot coach in some of those cases. But a lot of places are building, a lot of people anyway, are building facilities outside those main entrances, and they're picking up that overflow in private parks.
So right now it's too early to answer the question, is 45 feet too big?
I don't think so.
You don't think it's too big?
No. I don't, because the length of it can be prohibitive about some places, but you don't live on the outside of your coach. It's the journey of getting there can be difficult sometimes to find a place to stay, but you're actually living in the coach. And to live in it, the 45, for me, my lifestyle, I couldn't do less, I don't think.
Oh, I bet you could.
Not for long term, because I need space. I need space to sew. I need space to be. I need space for you to be able to watch TV or me to watch TV. I need a kitchen to cook in. I need a bathroom that I can actually dress and undress without bonking my head when I bend over to dry my feet. You need sufficient space to move. And having the zones of a kitchen, a dining room, a living room, and a bedroom, and a bathroom, it feels more home than if you're constantly squished and crowded and you can't turn around. That's aggravating. So it just depends on what you're looking at doing. If you want to go into national parks, don't get a 45-footer. Don't get anything over 35 feet.
Well, we've noticed that the parks that we've driven through, besides the Harris Beach State Park, which was fantastic, we're noticing a lot of the parks that do house the 45-footer are more parking lot style camping.
Right.
Where you're side by side with really not much braking between you and your neighbor. I mean, in Pahrump, they had it staggered so that the coach that was beside you, their rear end was next to your rear end. So your front ends were quite a distance away, so you weren't right on your neighbor.
Right. And there was
in
trees,
that regard.
and you had space. The camping lot style, those, for me, by the way I like to do it, are not long-term stays. Those are short-term stays. You may stay there just a few days, up to a week, but you wouldn't want to be there more than that because it is so claustrophobic.
Well, the place we're in right now is pretty tight, with no break between
Right,
our
but my
sides.
sister's right next door to me. So it's like her house, my house. So it's not... And then the big communal area that I'm using a lot of, drag my sewing machine down in my wagon, it won't happen. But it's not so tight that you can stick your arm out and tap on your neighbor's window and say, excuse me, can I borrow the grape plum? They're not that tight. And it's not just all barren. There are trees, there's...
Yeah, and where we're staying right now, there's lots of activities.
Right.
You're out and about a lot. Even though you say you live in your motorhome and not outside. Here, we're outside a lot.
And the nicer the weather is, you're going to find yourself outside a lot.
Well, that's an extension of your living space.
Exactly.
I really enjoyed sitting outside, having a beer, and watching ESPN on the TV outside. It was comfortable. The sunshine felt great. And I was able to do some video editing out there as well.
I saw a lady with her sewing machine outside sewing, quilting. You know, she was undercover, under her awning with her big table, and had her sewing machine out. And we stopped and talked to her for a bit and saw what she was working on, showed her what we were working on. So it's not like I have to be stuck in that small space. So it's not that hard. It's not a hardship when it's nice weather. You don't find yourself in your coach that long. But when you are in your coach, I can be doing my thing wherever I am in the coach. You can be doing your thing, and we're not right on top of each other. And if you're in a smaller coach, there's nowhere to be away from each other. There's no, you can't be that far apart. You're kind of on top of each other, doing what you're trying to do, invading each other's space. And I don't like that. It makes me crabby.
So certainly, if you have questions out there about full-time RV living, we can give you the benefit of our short-term knowledge that we have about this. We've only been doing it for a couple of months. There are things that we've learned and things that we know by listening to other people. Be sure to send me a comment, and I'll respond to all the comments that I get. I'm also thinking about creating a web page and putting a blog out on the web page that will describe the videos in more detail. So if you're interested in something like that, subscribing to something like that, let me know. If you're not interested, I won't do it. But if you're interested in reading more about where we are, the things that we're doing, other than just what you see in the video, let me know, and I'll do that. I tried to just start a blog in the comments on my last video, so you can kind of get a feel for what that would look like. It was just a very short description about the park that we're in, and then you can take a look at that and see if you would be more interested in those types of things, more description of these areas. So thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon. Be there,